people through the prophets. And, of course, the prophets came through the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when the Bible talks about the fathers, both in the Old Testament and the New Testament, it's talking about those fathers of faith, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now remember, if you have my new book, you'll eventually get there. But I have a chapter on the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in my new book. And in that chapter, I explain in detail how that God, when he cut covenant with Abraham, God actually changed his own name, as well as changing the name of Abram. He gave to Abram part of his own name, which is Jehovah. And he added to the name Abram, A-H, the end of Jehovah, added it and made Abram's name Abraham. Abram means exalted father. Abraham means father of a multitude. And God, in making this covenant and cutting covenant with Abraham, remember, there is during that ceremony an exchange of names. So, God gave Abram part of his name, okay, the A-H out of Jehovah, which actually means father of a multitude, okay. God took part of Abram's name, and from then on, forever, God is known as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So say out loud, my God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? That's his name. The God he's known of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So we see in Hebrews 1 that in different days and days gone by and different times, God spoke to his people, and he spoke to them by the fathers and prophets. But look what this verse continues to say. He has in these last days. Everyone say last days. Now, if you have something to take notes on, make a note of last days. In these last days, by his Son, by Jesus, whom he has appointed heir of all things. Now, when the Bible uses the phrase last days, it is not talking about 24-hour periods. Do I have your attention tonight? It is not talking about 24-hour periods. Okay? It is talking about 1,000-year periods, or a period of 1,000 years. Okay? Because in God's plan for the ages, the Bible says in 2 Peter 3 that a day with the Lord is years. Everybody said a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. Well, let's look at that verse, everybody. Let's go to 2 Peter. Write this down in your notes somewhere. 2 Peter chapter 3. And we'll begin at verse 1 to help you understand it better. Now remember, in my new book, I didn't say have reading, I said engaged. There's a difference between reading and being engaged. All right? For those of you that are engaged in my new book, that is, you're studying it, you're reading it, you're meditating on it. Discovered that right away, one of the things I pointed out is that according to this chapter, in 2 Peter chapter 3, Peter reveals to us the revelation of three world orders. The world that then was. The world that then was. Okay? The world that then was. And we're going to begin at verse 1, but look at verse 6 very quickly. And I apologize, Marie, I'm causing you to jump all over the place there. But them was overflowed with water perish. Now, Peter's not Noah's flood. Because the world order, the word world means cosmos or world order. The world order in Noah's day did not. It did perish. The same animals that were there before the flood were here after the flood. The same laws of nature before the flood of Noah was here after the flood. So the word world means world order. In Noah's day did not cease. But this verse says the world that then was perished. And that world that then was is the world before Lucifer fell. Now, it's quiet. You could hear a pin drop tonight. If we have wooden floors, you could hear a lot of pins dropping tonight. Yeah? But let me remind you again, it's not Bible. That's right, Brother Verl. That was what Peter's talking about. The world that then was. Everyone loud, the world that now is and the world to come. Well, see, the world that now is the same world order that was in Noah's day. The world that now is the same order. But Peter's talking about the world that then was is a different world order. Everything was different. That order flowed with water. And we know that according to Genesis 1:1, in the earth. Well, he's talking about the original heavens and the original earth. But something happened to it. Something happened to it. And we have verse 2. And the earth was what? Without what? And ask us, does God create anything without? No. So we have the condition of the world that God created in verse 1 now being judged by God. And when Peter said the world that then was being overflowed, that's the exact condition you want too. And the earth was without form and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Okay? So to very quickly, without taking time to go into detail about that, just remember that the context of 2 Peter is the last days. And when we get to 2 Peter, Peter goes on to say, let's look at verse 7. Look at verse 7. Chapter 3, verse 7. But the heaven. Somebody say heaven. Oh, there's the heavens in. Let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Easy. Were the heavens destroyed in Noah's flood? No. Oh, but now the heavens here. The heavens and the earth which are now. Okay? So obviously the condition of the Lucifer was judged and the entire heavens were judged by God. Were judged by God. The heavens and the earth which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. Now look at verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing. Everyone say, one day is with the Lord of what? And what? 1,000 years of one day. Okay? So, also, Psalm 90. This is not in my notes, but let's look at Psalm 90, everybody, and we'll begin. Psalm 90. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Verse 1. Verse 2. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Think about that. That verse tells us God lives in the realm of eternity. Everyone say, my God lives in the realm of eternity. Everlasting, thou art God. But what does that verse say? God took something out of it, created the mountains. They were brought forth and formed. Okay? Now look at verse 3. Thou turnest man to action, and saying, return, ye children of men. 4. For 1,000 years as yesterday when it is past. It's just like a watch in the night. Okay? I want you to see tonight, very clearly, is that God time. Everyone say out loud, my God created time. And eternity. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, is there any? No. Does God ever age? Has he ever had a beginning? Will he ever have an ending? No. So therefore, time was not created for God. Time was created for man. And after God judged the world that then was, it was destroyed. Lucifer took a third of the angels and invaded heaven. You all do know that, right? He got lifted up in pride. And oh my goodness, it's beyond my ability to think how he could do that. Because he was there. Lucifer was there with the angels, witnessed the creation of the first heavens and earth. Witnessed that. When the angels of God, and the angels of God shouted for joy when the Lord created the heavens and the earth. They were all created beings. Well, if they were already created beings, they were in a different order. Now, here's something you and I need to start thinking about, and we need to use our brains a little bit. Say out loud, my God gave me a brain to think with. Anybody? Yeah. Now, stop and think about it. What's Jesus going to do when he comes back on the earth? What's he going to do? Is he going to just sit on the throne of David and twiddle his thumbs? Reign. Oh, find rule. What is rule? Control. What else? Oversee. What else? Have power. How about govern? Govern. So God established government. Man did not establish government. God created government. Man corrupted government, but God created it. In the order that then was, before this order, before man was created out of the dust of the earth, God had a government. Created beings didn't just float around doing nothing.